Dinar Shift. Today, we delve into a profound financial narrative, one that suggests a small, often forgotten piece of foreign currency, perhaps an item casually stored away years ago as a souvenir from a past journey, might be reaching a pivotal moment of transition. Most individuals regard leftover foreign notes as nothing more than a memento, something destined to remain in a drawer or a box, never realizing any substantial change in its worth. This common perception leads many to instinctively dismiss any talk of currency values potentially surging by factors of 10, 20, or even 100 times. Such stories, after all, have a long history of circulating within certain optimistic investment communities, fueling hope for an extraordinary windfall that frequently fails to materialize. But what if the undercurrents guiding the current dialogue are fundamentally different this time, rooted not in mere speculation or overblown rumors, but in legitimate, measurable shifts occurring across the global financial infrastructure? The evidence suggests a coordinated movement that transcends niche community chatter, emanating instead from highly credible sources, including major central banks, authoritative international organizations, sophisticated private institutional platforms, and comprehensive streams of macroeconomic data. All these seemingly disparate components are beginning to align, pointing towards a systemic, coordinated, and potentially imminent adjustment in a specific currency's valuation. This demands a fresh, objective examination of the facts, moving beyond the sensational claims to explore the underlying mechanics. Welcome back to Dinar Shift, the platform dedicated to dissecting complex global currency patterns, analyzing the mechanics of potential revaluations, and pinpointing macro-financial indicators that often escape the attention of broader financial news outlets. While our discussions frequently center on the Iraqi dinar and its long-term potential for an upward correction, our focus today pivots to another Asian currency that, despite having quietly resided in the background of global speculation, is now rapidly gaining the attention of key market participants, analysts, and international regulatory bodies, the Vietnamese Dong, or VND. The Vietnamese Dong has been consistently characterized as significantly undervalued for a long period. For years, any discussion concerning a potential revaluation was fragmented, largely confined to whispers within specialized circles. However, recent developments indicate a dramatic change in this landscape. We are now observing concrete data originating from sources that command genuine authority within global economics: regional financial bodies, multinational lending institutions, foreign exchange monitoring agencies, and major institutional liquidity providers. These accumulating signals strongly suggest that Vietnam is no longer committed to the same restrictive currency posture it has maintained for decades. The once purely theoretical possibility of an adjustment is now solidifying into an observable, measurable trend, underpinned by synchronized preparatory actions taking place deep within the world's financial ecosystem, invisible to the casual observer. To fully appreciate why this current period differs so significantly from previous phases of speculation, it is essential to trace Vietnam's economic and strategic journey to this precise point. Understanding the deliberate long-term policy decisions is key to grasping why so many reputable voices are now converging on the possibility that the VND is entering a crucial phase of adjustment. This transition, if it occurs, could effectively overturn long-held assumptions regarding the currency's actual intrinsic value. Over the past 2 decades, Vietnam has engineered one of the most remarkable economic transformations in all of Southeast Asia, evolving with impressive speed and determination. Its economic ascent has been methodical and highly successful, transitioning from a primarily agrarian economy, historically dependent on rice farming, fishing, and small-scale agriculture, into a highly diversified and globally competitive industrial and manufacturing powerhouse. This extraordinary economic evolution was far from accidental. It was the direct result of deliberate political and economic reforms. The government implemented aggressive policies aimed at attracting foreign direct investment (FDI), alongside massive sustained investments in core infrastructure, education, and the continuous enhancement of its industrial output capabilities. Vietnam strategically positioned itself as one of the world's premier manufacturing destinations, a process that accelerated as numerous multinational companies began seeking reliable alternatives to production centers in other regions, particularly as concerns grew regarding geopolitical instability, logistical risks, and fluctuations in labor costs elsewhere. This calculated shift has led to the establishment or substantial expansion of entire global supply chains within Vietnam's borders, covering a vast range of sectors. The scale of this transition is immense, involving manufacturing hubs for electronics, intricate textile production, high-volume furniture creation, and advanced agricultural processing. Major global corporations, including industry leaders in technology, have collectively poured billions of dollars into constructing sophisticated factories, establishing research and development centers, and building extensive logistical networks across the country. Simultaneously, Vietnam's workforce has continually grown more skilled and specialized, its participation in international trade agreements has multiplied, and its deep integration into global commerce has steadily advanced. Despite this undeniable, growing economic strength and its crucial role in international trade, the official value of the Vietnamese Dong has been intentionally maintained at an artificially low level. This strategy of a deliberately suppressed currency value was an explicit, long-standing policy decision made by Vietnamese policymakers to maximize export competitiveness. By ensuring the currency remained undervalued, Vietnam guaranteed that its manufactured goods and agricultural products were consistently attractively priced in global markets. This practice successfully secured significant trade surpluses year after year and provided a powerful continuous incentive for foreign companies to invest capital and establish operations within the nation. However, the international economic environment is currently undergoing fundamental changes, and increasing pressure from global regulatory and financial bodies for greater transparency and fair value currency policies is now compelling Vietnam towards a definitive turning point in its monetary strategy. To grasp the full scale of the potential shifts currently underway, one must look beyond the publicly reported data and observe the internal mechanisms of the institutional financial world, areas that remain largely unseen by the majority of the public. Within the most exclusive, private banking circles, specifically those operating on high-level institutional platforms rather than consumer-facing accounts, there has been a noticeable surge in internal chatter. This internal dialogue is being corroborated by distinct and observable shifts within proprietary banking systems. Major, high-level global banks utilize internal proprietary rate sheets that are periodically updated to reflect anticipated currency movements, often ahead of any public forex market change. These anticipations are derived from close monitoring of subtle liquidity behavior, emerging policy shifts, or direct confidential communications from financial authorities. Recently, several of these highly confidential internal rate sheets have reportedly exhibited unusual and compelling patterns concerning the Vietnamese Dong. Furthermore, sophisticated institutional forex channels, the networks where significant liquidity movements and volatility often register long before they trickle down to retail markets, have recorded unusual fluctuations. These signals, typically inaccessible to the general public, are constantly monitored by specialized analysts who track them as clear indicators of pre-adjustment positioning by large institutional players. Even more noteworthy are specific, leaked projections that are now circulating among financial insiders. These projections suggest potential post-adjustment values that indicate astonishing jumps from the currency's current figures. In parallel with these institutional market shifts, reports suggest that Vietnam's digital banking systems have initiated significant back-end updates. These extensive technical overhauls are reportedly being implemented to prepare the systems for handling recalibrated customer balances, necessary rounding adjustments, and larger-scale denomination corrections, precisely the technical groundwork required before a change in the official foundational value of the currency. This activity is further complemented by reports of internal government documentation indicating ministry-level planning for budget and fiscal realignment, which represents the classic, comprehensive preparatory steps that any country must take before formally altering its currency's value and exchange rate regime. Critically, Vietnam's actions are not isolated. The emerging monetary alignment appears to be profoundly integrated with the continuous guidance and structural influence of major global financial institutions. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, long recognized globally for its role in assisting member nations with exchange rate frameworks, has been engaging actively with Vietnam. Their collaboration focuses on crucial areas such as the strengthening of foreign currency reserves, the balancing of sovereign debt, and the refinement of inflation management policies. These specific areas of focus are not random. They represent the classic, fundamental preconditions that a country must address before transitioning away from an artificially suppressed currency regime towards one based on fair market value. The IMF's work typically involves structured reviews, long-term programs, and the establishment of fiscal benchmarks designed to prepare economies for more transparent and sustainable monetary policies. Similarly, the Asian Development Bank (ADB) has been consistently collaborating with Vietnam on numerous initiatives focused on stabilizing capital flows, modernizing its monetary system, advancing digital payment architecture, and upgrading core central bank infrastructure. These systematic reforms are perfectly aligned with the prerequisites for a currency to transition into a fairer and more representative valuation range. When multiple, influential international organizations simultaneously begin supporting a convergent set of policy upgrades and structural reforms within the same national economy timeframe, it is rarely a coincidence. Such convergence often signals a coordinated trajectory toward a new and predetermined phase of economic policy implementation. The powerful combination of regulatory restructuring, widespread digital modernization, major shifts in reserve policy, and continuous guidance from international institutions strongly suggest that Vietnam's long-term monetary strategy has decisively entered a transitionary stage. This stage holds the distinct possibility of culminating in a formal revaluation event. Should this revaluation happen, its impact would extend far beyond Vietnam's borders, potentially reshaping currency relationships throughout Southeast Asia and prompting neighboring emerging markets to urgently reevaluate their own currency valuation strategies. This brings the focus back to individuals who, perhaps years ago, made the quiet decision to acquire Vietnamese Dong, either as a component of a broader diversification strategy or simply out of interest in future global economic shifts. If a revaluation were to occur on the scale that internal projections are beginning to suggest, the potential for an upward adjustment for these currency holders could be substantial, particularly for those possessing higher denomination notes. Across North America, Europe, and key parts of Asia, specialized redemption centers have reportedly begun structuring their internal, operational procedures to accommodate potential large-scale VND exchanges. These facilities are not the standard casual retail bank counters found on every street corner. Instead, they are high-level facilities specifically designed to manage substantial foreign currency transactions, conduct stringent compliance screenings, perform detailed authentication checks on the currency, and execute highly structured redemption protocols, all under strict regulatory oversight. It is highly likely that access to these specialized centers will not be a simple walk-in process. Appointments will be necessary. Anticipated requirements may include providing comprehensive proof of purchase documentation, official certificates of authenticity for the notes, and detailed documentation verifying the lawful acquisition of the currency. In many cases, individuals may be subject to thorough background checks, a necessary measure intended to prevent money laundering or any illicit use of a potentially revalued currency. Some centers may even implement tiered exchange rates, offering incentives for those with larger verified holdings or structured reinvestment programs designed to efficiently channel the new liquidity back into regulated financial products. While no outcome is guaranteed, the sheer level of preparation being reported strongly indicates that major financial institutions are strategically positioning themselves in advance, often a telltale sign that they anticipate significant market movement. Should the Vietnamese Dong indeed undergo a dramatic upward adjustment, this event could be recorded as one of the most significant currency realignments in recent economic history. The upcoming exchange processes, as they are being designed, will not resemble the typical low-scrutiny currency exchanges consumers are accustomed to at airports or local retail banks. Rather, what is taking shape behind the scenes appears to be a highly structured, meticulously regulated, and extensively documented system. This system is being built specifically to manage substantial foreign currency conversions, while ensuring all legal, financial, and compliance safeguards are firmly in place. These large-scale transactions will require a level of oversight, detailed verification, and a controlled environment that is characteristic of major monetary exchanges, far removed from a routine teller window interaction. For any individual seeking to correctly position themselves ahead of a potential public revaluation event, the strategy cannot be casual or reactive. It absolutely requires clarity, organization, and a predefined plan designed to minimize stress, uncertainty, and risk in the moment of transition. Preparation, in this context, is not merely about hoping for a significant financial outcome. It is fundamentally about ensuring that if the opportunity materializes, you can execute the conversion process seamlessly without encountering avoidable, administrative, or compliance-related obstacles. This comprehensive preparation includes securing the physical holdings, organizing all associated documentation, thoroughly researching compliant exchange options, and, crucially, seeking professional guidance from credible financial advisors. Many currency holders profoundly underestimate how critical these preparatory steps are until the moment they are confronted with urgent, time-sensitive decisions following a revaluation announcement. By engaging in this preparation now, quietly and methodically, you are positioning yourself to participate effectively in a large systemic shift that others may miss entirely or mishandle due to a lack of readiness. Preparation is not simply recommended, it is essential. The very first step, which is surprisingly often overlooked, is to secure your physical holdings. If your Vietnamese Dong is currently stored in an envelope, a shoebox, or an unsecured drawer, it is imperative to change that approach immediately and begin treating the currency as a serious asset with significant potential value. A fireproof safe kept securely within your home is a solid, practical option, as is utilizing a bank safety deposit box if you prefer the added security of off-site protection. It must be remembered that fire, theft, and accidental damage are unpredictable risks, and losing your physical currency is equivalent to losing an equal amount of cash. There are generally no replacements and no insurance claims available. Beyond protecting the physical notes, you must thoroughly document everything you own. This means meticulously recording the serial numbers of your bills, noting the precise denominations, and keeping these vital records in both physical and encrypted digital formats. Store one hard copy in a separate, secure location within your home, and back up the digital copy to an encrypted cloud drive that utilizes strong two-factor authentication. This documentation serves two critical purposes. It helps you verify your exact holdings internally, and it may also act as an essential protective measure if future regulations require proof of the note's authenticity or the precise quantity held. You must treat your Dong holdings with the same level of seriousness and diligence you would apply to precious metals, crucial legal documents, or any other asset that could suddenly and dramatically increase in value. In the event of a rapid financial transition, those who have their currency securely protected and thoroughly documented will possess a distinct and critical advantage over those who treated their holdings casually. Your next critical priority is to gather and organize every piece of paperwork related to your initial purchase. Numerous individuals acquire foreign currency and subsequently discard or misplace the receipts, failing to realize that these documents could become absolutely essential for verification purposes during a structured exchange process. Whether you acquired the currency from an official bank, a reputable dealer, or a trusted online platform, every receipt, invoice, certificate of authenticity, order confirmation, or transaction email must be collected and stored in one organized, single location. Do not rely solely on physical paper copies, as paper can be easily damaged or lost over time. Digitize everything. Scan all your documents, store them securely in password-protected folders, and back them up using encrypted cloud services known for their robust security standards, ensuring you use two-factor authentication for access. When the time for redemption arrives, institutions may impose strict requirements for proof of legal purchase, the original date of acquisition, or an unbroken chain of custody. Missing documentation could potentially lead to delays, complications, or even a reduction in your redemption options. Consider this step as the construction of an airtight legal file that unequivocally proves your legitimacy as a currency holder. Careful preparation now eliminates potential chaos and stress later, particularly if a large number of people begin seeking exchanges simultaneously. Documentation is your crucial lifeline. Treat it with the utmost seriousness. The third essential step is extensive research. The primary question is not whether your local, everyday banks currently exchange VND. What truly matters is identifying which financial institutions possess specialized foreign currency departments, have robust international banking capabilities, or have established high-level compliance systems designed for large-scale exchanges. When you contact these institutions, you must deliberately avoid using speculative terms like revaluation, RV, or new rate, as these phrases are heavily associated with speculation and could immediately shut down a productive conversation. Instead, present yourself as a sophisticated client seeking information about the future process of exchanging a substantial amount of foreign currency. Inquire specifically about their verification procedures, whether they utilize third-party currency authenticators, and the exact forms of identification or documentation they will require for such a large transaction. If a bank simply states they do not exchange VND now, accept that and move on. You are not attempting to force the issue. Your goal is purely to gather intelligence, methodically identifying institutions that possess the capacity to handle significant foreign currency transactions when the time arrives. Given that banking policies can vary widely even between different branches of the same institution, it is strategically wise to contact multiple locations. Preparing this way now completely removes the emotional rush and uncertainty that are hallmarks of major financial transitions. Information is power, and understanding your viable options before the critical moment gives you the necessary confidence and clarity precisely when you need it most. The fourth and absolutely crucial step is to consult a fiduciary financial advisor. This distinction is vital. You need a fiduciary, someone who is legally obligated to act exclusively in your best financial interest, not a commissioned salesperson, an insurance broker presenting as a planner, or a high-pressure wealth manager focused solely on commission targets. Should a significant exchange occur, the resulting tax implications could be enormous. In countless cases, individuals lose more potential value through poor reactive tax planning than they ever anticipated. Structured strategies such as staged exchanges over time, strategic conversion timing, the formation of trusts, or using asset reinvestment vehicles can dramatically improve your long-term financial outcome. A fiduciary advisor can also be instrumental in helping you remain compliant with complex tax and reporting requirements, especially if new regulations are introduced alongside a revaluation event. Most importantly, a qualified professional provides an objective voice, helping you avoid the emotional decisions, often characterized by panic, overspending, or falling into traps set by predatory advisors that undermine a financial future. When a sudden opportunity presents itself, emotional reactions are common. A fiduciary provides grounded, rational guidance rooted in law and best practices. View them as your essential strategic partner in managing a potentially life-changing financial moment. Preparation now prevents later confusion and regret. The individuals who achieve the most success in these situations are not the most excitable. They are invariably the most prepared. Fifth, and perhaps most urgently, you must maintain extreme alertness to scams. The very moment legitimate opportunities begin to surface, illegitimate schemes and predatory activities multiply exponentially. Scammers thrive in environments where people are feeling hopeful, uncertain, and actively searching for insider or proprietary information. You should anticipate receiving unsolicited emails claiming to offer special redemption windows, exclusive exchange rates, or backdoor access to private exchanges. Ignore them completely. No legitimate institution will ever initiate contact with you through unsolicited communication about a major financial event. Scammers may also pose as financial advisors, currency brokers, government contractors, or even authorized redemption agents. These malicious individuals often employ high-pressure tactics and use fake credentials to convince people to hand over currency, money, or sensitive personal data. You must always verify licenses independently through official government regulatory bodies. Never rely on documentation provided directly by the person claiming authority. Additionally, exercise extreme caution in online forums or social media groups where anonymous figures claim to possess inside knowledge. These digital environments are fertile breeding grounds for misinformation, rumor, and manipulation, designed to exploit hopeful currency holders. Your personal safety and financial security depend entirely on skepticism, patience, and strict adherence to verified, licensed professional channels. As this situation progresses, more people will inevitably be targeted. Protect yourself now by establishing a set of strict personal rules, verify absolutely everything, trust nothing unconfirmed, and never allow a false sense of urgency to override your logic. Scams thrive on chaos. You must avoid the chaos. Now, let's broaden the perspective to the wider global context that is driving much of this momentum. What is occurring with the Vietnamese Dong is not an isolated event. It is an intrinsic part of a much larger systemic realignment within global finance. For many decades, the US dollar has maintained its dominance in international trade, functioning as the world's primary reserve currency. However, clear vulnerabilities in that system have become increasingly visible as emerging markets worldwide seek greater monetary autonomy, financial stability, and increased global influence. De-dollarization is no longer merely a political concept championed by a few nations. It has matured into a coordinated strategic movement among major economic blocs, including organizations like BRICS, and a rapidly increasing number of developing nations. These countries are proactively establishing alternative payment networks, significantly strengthening regional trade agreements to bypass established systems, building advanced digital financial infrastructure, and making heavy strategic investments in their domestic, manufacturing, and technology sectors. Vietnam is clearly aligning itself within this new, emerging multipolar financial framework. The anticipated shift in its currency's valuation reflects a deep-seated desire to transition toward fairer, market-based valuations, achieve greater transparency in its monetary policy, and secure increased participation and influence within a diversified global monetary ecosystem. The global financial landscape is undeniably evolving, and Vietnam's calculated role within this transition is becoming increasingly visible. What we are witnessing is not a random market fluctuation. It is a clear signal of profound structural change at the foundational level of global finance. To address the most common questions, first, concerning the timing of public rate changes, While no one outside official policy channels can provide a definitive date, internal banking systems are already showing behind-the-scenes updates. Historically, once highly sensitive institutional platforms make their adjustments, public-facing, forex markets eventually follow suit. Not instantly, but typically within a time window that is dependent on the synchronization of international transaction networks. This period could span a few weeks, or potentially sooner, based on the speed with which global transaction systems align with new regulatory and liquidity structures. The crucial indicator to watch remains Vietnam's digital banking updates. When banks begin altering back-end frameworks, a recalibration of the exchange rate often follows. Second, the question of whether every currency holder will receive the highest possible exchange rate is essential. In nearly all significant currency adjustments throughout history, tiered systems are implemented. Larger, officially verified holdings frequently qualify for structured agreements or incentivized exchange rates, whereas smaller holders will still benefit from the new value but may not access the absolute upper tiers of the exchange rates. This practice is standard procedure in major financial transitions. Third, is this entire discussion a scam? The underlying economic data, the policy reforms, the documented involvement of the IMF, and the system-wide banking updates are real and verifiable facts. The scam element arises exclusively from the individuals who seek to exploit uninformed or unprepared holders. The ultimate key to safety is education, verification, and an unwavering reliance on legitimate, licensed financial professionals. The clearer your understanding, the safer and smoother your path will be. The final, essential truth that many overlook is this: simply owning currency is not the same as having a strategy. Those who ultimately succeed during times of major financial transition are not the loudest, most excitable voices in online forums, nor are they the ones frantically chasing every fleeting rumor. They are the quiet, disciplined individuals who engage in deliberate and consistent preparation. They do not advertise their holdings or seek public attention. They avoid making impulsive decisions driven by fear or immediate excitement. Instead, they meticulously document their assets, consult trusted professionals, secure their holdings physically, thoroughly research all their options, and maintain a long-term perspective. They approach the entire potential process with profound respect, strategic patience, and absolute clarity. We may be standing on the threshold of one of the most significant monetary events of this decade, an event that the mainstream financial media has yet to fully acknowledge. However, those who are paying close, disciplined attention can genuinely feel the shift building momentum. The period of calm just before the public recognition phase is often the most vital time for preparation. Your readiness, the completeness of your paperwork, the organization of your documents, and your strategic mindset will collectively determine whether you merely observe history unfolding or whether you actively and successfully participate in it. This has been Dinar Shift, providing you with one of the most comprehensive updates regarding global currency movements you will hear this year. The Vietnamese Dong is rapidly moving past its status as a forgotten foreign note. It is emerging as a key player in a new financial era that is being defined by a rapidly changing world order. The old global financial system, one built upon singular currency dominance, outdated frameworks, and over-reliance on centralized reserve dependency, is slowly and deliberately yielding ground to a multipolar financial landscape. In this emerging system, numerous nations, various currencies, and new digital assets will share influence in ways that were unimaginable even a decade ago. At a critical time like this, your next calculated move is not just important, it is utterly decisive. Preparation is not about making a precise prediction of when a change will happen, it is fundamentally about positioning yourself to be ready for if it happens. Staying informed keeps you ahead of the noise. Staying focused prevents costly distractions and emotional detours. And staying prepared ensures that when the opportunity finally arrives, you are not scrambling to assemble documents, frantically research banks, or search for professional advisors. When the systemic shift ultimately becomes public, many people will react with confusion, disbelief, or emotional panic. But those who took the time to prepare quietly and systematically will be able to move forward with a powerful sense of confidence and clarity. You are now witnessing the early critical stages of a profound global financial transition that has the potential to reshape wealth dynamics for many years to come. The choice is simple. Will you be an observer, passively watching from the sidelines, or will you be a prepared and active participant, ready to engage with the opportunity? Stay prepared, stay focused, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next critical update.